I have to follow instructions from Baha because he wants to take footage. But it's not a hard thing to say. Good morning and welcome everybody to the Foresighting Forum 2023. And it's amazing to see all your faces, to reconnect with so many people that I know, that I've worked with, that I love being around. And I'm sure that energy is going to keep going through the next day and a half. So whether you've walked, driven, flown from somewhere in Australia, or like our international speakers who I'm delighted that have made that long trek. Australians are sort of a bit immune to distance, but people coming from the UK and the US is above and beyond. But I think it says a lot about the global as well as the local experience of everyday people in energy and how it affects them, how they want to participate in it, that we've been able to have the calibre of people as Paul Jordan, Paul DiMartini and Matt Finch join us. So this year feels extra special. There are also many people here who've not attended a Foresighting Forum before, and a particularly warm welcome to you if you're here for the first time. It's worth explaining again, I think, why or how we do things a little differently to your traditional industry conference. And in fact, we don't even call it a conference. I make my team wash their mouth out with soap, as my mother would say. Speeches are kept short, perhaps we'll keep time on this one as well. Consumer behaviour is centred. Some might say it's the heart of this discussion for the next day and a half. And genuine discussion is the order of the day. It's important that we listen, and to take Auntie's words, listen with respect to multiple different viewpoints, not just applaud when we hear our own. Because when this forum ends, we want to challenge and expand your thinking with new ideas about how to deliver the best energy system for consumers. Certainly aspire to a better one. We want you to lift your gaze and take a moment to imagine from a different perspective the interests of consumers. So how did we get here? It's old news that our energy system is rapidly changing as we move towards a smarter, low-carbon energy system. Much focus has been placed on how we can ensure this power is delivered safely, reliably, and now and into the future, and rightly so. As I've said to various people, consumers don't want to experience outage shock, blackout shock. But what has been, for the most part, missing from this conversation is how we must reshape and rethink demand. To make less costly investment in generation and networks, we must cast our minds more broadly and contemplate what measures such as energy efficiency, fuel switching, load shifting, and behaviour change can also bring. And what do each of these measures have in common? People. People, complete with their complexities, diverse motivations, opportunities, and barriers to participation. No matter how hard some might try, we simply cannot engineer people out of the system. The tired old way of thinking that sees consumers as either meddlesome problems or what I like to call imaginary friends needs to change. Instead, we must start seeing consumers as one of our greatest assets and start designing our future energy system to harness this strength. But to truly benefit, we must first have a clear picture about when, where, and why consumers use energy, which brings me back to today. Those of you who are a Lou Reed fan will know what I'm about to say. We're inviting you to take a walk on the demand side, to try and think, speak, act, and dream like a consumer, to consider how consumers currently engage with the system, what they want, what they expect, what they value from any future system, and how we can best enable consumers to participate to create a thriving energy system that benefits everyone. Not just the fortunate, not just the smart, not just the tech savvy, but everyone. But this is not something that can be done alone. It is something that requires attention and input from people and organisations, experts, engineers, economists, technologists across the board, whether you're a planner, a retailer, a policymaker, a leader, a consumer advocate, a researcher, an innovator, somebody with, amazing ideas for the future, or something else entirely. We need you. And at the end of the day, each of us are consumers too. So my challenge for you today, and the question I want you to keep coming back to, is what's my role in ensuring there's a plan to maximise consumer outcomes, to maximise the opportunity that we're going to realise that better future for everyone? What's the one thing I can do to ensure that at the end of the day, consumers are better off? To ensure that our thinking and discussions are grounded and focused on this outcome, we've sponsored a large number of consumer advocates to attend. We'll also be hearing, as Rick just talked about, directly from some of those advocates, people working at the grassroots, as part of our Consumer Voices panel throughout the forum. I've been told that it's bold or foolish to provide a platform for real people to provide real-time feedback and to hold up a mirror to our conversations. But for me, it's vital to capture the lived experience of consumers and ensure that whatever is discussed resonates with those who will be most impacted and be expected to carry out large parts of the plan in their lives and in their businesses. Another exciting aspect of our forum is the Digital Energy Futures Room, which again Rick talked about. We're really keen for people to drop in, scribble with that butcher paper, rediscover your inner child. But there's a serious body of work. There's a couple of $1 million, thank you to the Australian government, to the partners in the project, Monash and AusNet and Ausgrid, and certainly we've invested much time and some money in what is, I think, globally innovative research. And you've got the opportunity really to have the first preview of what, in a sense, has been a 4-year research program, but I want to call out Yolandi Strangers, who whispered to me, well, not whispered, but did sort of speak to me at a public event in 2015 and said, you do know that people actually do things without being paid to do it. Like, they actually do things because they think it's the right thing to do or a good thing to do. What about if we did some research into what people really do, people really think, people really aspire to, people's values, and integrate that with how we explore the future? So it's an amazing credit to that team, to Yolandi's leadership, to the other people who came on board. I won't mention all of them because I'll forget some, but again, you get the opportunity to see it in a very different way rather than engaging with, what is a very detailed and final report that will actually be released very soon. I also want to thank Aisel Allen, who's been our partner in crime for many years as we've explored behavioural insights, and they've also been part of sponsoring this event. Now, just a couple of sort of, switching gear a little, I also want to announce the winner of our 2022 Jill Owen Scholarship. It's become a tradition that we do this at this event. It enables someone to travel internationally to, again, explore different questions about how consumers and different policymakers and systems are also grappling with the energy transition. So our first recipient is Rod McLeod from Renew. Is Rob here? We're very proud of Rob. Rob will research the Spanish response to heat waves to enable us to strengthen our own understanding of resilience. And our second recipient, who I also hope is here, is Liz Fletcher. Is Liz here? So we've decided to award 2 this year. Liz is going to travel to Europe to better understand how we can improve our energy regulatory frameworks to become more consumer-centric. So we're also very fortunate to have Rob, Liz and Joel Dignam, who's also one of our panellists, attending during the forum. If Liz hasn't arrived here already, we're hoping she can join us. But please talk to them about the work they've done. In Joel's case, we are immensely proud of Joel's movement to citizens' research. It's incredibly powerful. I will not forget the photo of a consumer with the energy meter registering the temperature in their house and sending it to their local MP, right? So it's not just understanding the conditions that people living in poor quality housing have, but also the fact that we're empowering them to advocate on their behalf, to say, look at the discomfort, the cost that I'm living with in this poor quality housing. So another thing that we're also wanting to announce is given our dedication to innovative energy research, we are also fully supporting a PhD at the University of Western Sydney to investigate consumer energy resources for energy efficiency in residential buildings and precincts. And so there's a bit of a theme here. We're very proud of our partnership with universities and also bringing on the next generation of people, both doing research, but research focused on changing the world for consumers. So I just want to finish up and return to the same question that I posed earlier. Ask yourself through the day, tomorrow, as you leave, what's my role in ensuring that there's a plan that maximises consumer outcomes as we transition to an energy system? Thank you.